The second thing you'll need to know is greatest common factors and least common multiples. Factors are numbers you multiply together to get another number. So 6 times 8 is 48. Therefore, 6 and 8 are factors of 48. Numbers can have many factors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, 24, and 48 are all factors of 48 because when you multiply them together, they equal 48. Now, common factors are shared factors of two different numbers. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, 24, and 48 are all factors of 48, but 1, 2, 5, and 10 are all factors of 10. The ones they have in common are 1 and 2. So these are the common factors. Now when we talk about the greatest common factor, we're talking about the largest factor that two numbers share. So again, when we're looking at the factors of 48 and 10, they share 1 and 2, but the largest one that they share is 2. So 2 is the greatest common factor. So how is this useful? Well, it's helpful in simplifying fractions because when you find the greatest common factor of the numerator and the denominator, it makes it easy to simplify. So for example, if we were supposed to simplify 12 over 30, we're going to look at the factors of 12, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Then the factors of 30, which are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, and 30. The greatest common factor is 6. So now I can look at that 12 over 30, divide each part by 6, and that gives me 2 over 5. So now my fraction is simplified. You'll also use this later in the year in algebra when you are factoring quadratics. Now we're going to look at multiples. We get a multiple when we take a number and multiply it by another number, like multiplying by 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but not by multiplying by 0. So multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so forth, because we took 3 and multiplied by 1, and then 3 times 2, and then 3 times 3, and 3 times 4, and we just kept going. So then multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, 20, etc. Because again, we took 5 and multiplied by 1, and then by 2, and then by 3, and so on. Now common multiples are shared multiples of two different numbers. So for example, if these are the multiples of 3 and these are the multiples of 5, I want to find the numbers that are shared. Well, 15 is in both lists, and so is 30. So these are common multiples. Least common multiples are the smallest shared multiples of two different numbers. So again, I have my list of multiples of 3 and my list of multiples of 5. So if I want the least common multiple of 3 and 5, I find my common multiples and then I see which one's the smallest. So the least common multiple here would be 15. So here are some examples. Find the greatest common factor and the least common multiple of these sets of numbers below. Work on these by yourself by pausing the video and then check your answers. So did you pause the video and try it? If not, pause the video now. If you did, check your answers. Here are the factors of 16 and 38. The greatest common factor would be 16. Here are the multiples. The least common multiple is 64. The greatest common factor of 14 and 49 is 7. The least common multiple is 98. Now when you have 3, you do the exact same thing. What do they all have in common? A 1. So that's the greatest common factor. And for multiples, it's a little more work, but 35 was the least common multiple. Here are the factors for 36, 27, and 56. The greatest one they have in common is 9. And their multiples, the least common multiple is 108. Now note, multiples could go on forever, but as soon as you find one that they all have in common, you can stop. So in summary, a factor is a number that divides another number. A greatest common factor is the largest factor that is shared by two numbers. A multiple is when you take a number and multiply by another number. So a least common multiple is the smallest multiple that is shared by two numbers.